Hello everybody, it's your girl Lizzie Ayo, forever keeping it a bando with 416 in the City and Hype Magazine. And on today, we have Chief Kemberle Braden. Everyone, this here is Chief Kemberle Braden. Can you tell everybody about who you are and what it is that you do?
So Kim Braden, I'm the Chief of Police for the City of Fayetteville Police Department here in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I've been a police officer here for almost 28 years now. I started my career in 1996, and I've made my way throughout the chain of command to ultimately lead the Fayetteville Police Department here in 2023.
That's great. Now, can you tell us about the difficulties that you've had as far as coming up the ladder?
I don't know if there's difficulties, but I think what it did is it gave me a good base to become the chief of police, to know where we've come from as a city and as a department to where we are today, and some of the hurdles that we still have yet to come in the future.
Awesome. What made you become a police officer?
Well, I tell this story. My dad, he's retired here from Fayetteville, North Carolina, in Fort Bragg, and he moved home to be the chief of police in his hometown. My dad, he retired as the chief of police. My brother, he retired from the state police in Kentucky. He's currently the sheriff in Webster County, Kentucky. So, law enforcement sort of runs in my family. So, and if you would have asked me years ago, are you going to be a police officer? I would have said no. But sort of, I had that calling, and it was a natural line of work for me. When I started to decide, what can I do? What would I be good at? And what would hold my interest? In policing, it's not a regular 9-to-5 job. You see something new every day that you come to work. You may be in the same area, but the calls for service are always different. And I think that was what held my interest throughout the years.
I had the pleasure of meeting you at one of the events that Faith and Blue threw, as far as showing Stop the Violence in the community of Hope Mills. Now, can you tell me how that came about?
Well, we're constantly looking ways to interact with our community, get our message out. Massey Hill had a spate of violent crimes that occurred, during the August-September timeframe. There were multiple shootings. We have an address at 318 Cooge Street. So far, there have been 2 homicides within the last year at that location. And I think it just all came to a head where, when I was deciding what we were going to do for Faith and Blue Weekend, I was discussing with our staff and with our community engagement coordinators, and we felt really the need to get out there with the community to bring light to the problem that has occurred in Massey Hill, highlight violent crime within the area, give some support to the community as a whole out there who's been suffering through this throughout 2023. And really bring attention to what we're trying to do in that Massey Hill community.
And we thank you for that, definitely. I was kind of astonished when I found out that, you would think that the health department would do such things like you were doing. And a lot of people doesn't know that you all are coming in with the community and bringing such awareness to help solve problems and help motivate people to be a part of the community.
So when we go out to these shootings, we go out to the homicides, we go out to these violent crimes, typically what you see on the streets will be lined with blue lights, okay? And, and a lot of the residents are maybe inside. We have to knock on the door and ask people, did you see anything, hear anything, and when you look around at the end of the day, when we're there investigating, it's only the cops out there, and that's sort of the paradigm shift I want to see within our community. It's not just the cops, it's the community out there trying to solve that crime. Letting other people in the community know, hey, we're not going to tolerate this, and truly helping the police department to solve some of the problems within that area.
Yes. So you all please make sure that y'all stay tapped in with what the community of Faith and Blue.
Well, Faith and Blue Weekend is over. We have I have what's called a Faith in Action program. We can talk about that a little bit.
Yes, please.
It's another program, but this occurs like every 2 weeks. We go out to areas within our city. One of the bigger problems I noticed once I took over as the chief of police was, we have a high overdose rate. Fentanyl has, really taken hold within our community, and we're seeing that those overdose rates were, fluctuating throughout the years. But I took a look at the 5 years, and we identified the top 3 locations for overdose deaths in the past 5 years, and we strategically go out to one of those areas every other Thursday, and we go out and we provide, counseling. I have faith groups that have, on-staff counselors. I have the LEAD program. They come out, they offer Narcan and any kind of assistance they have, reference, addiction services to the individuals in that area. A lot of the church groups will bring food out. There's a lot of food insecurities that occur surrounding poverty and addiction. I'm hoping to have a good turnout this Thursday. We know that the weather's changing. We want to bring, some coats, some winter style clothing, especially for the people who have, don't have a lot in their closet. So again, what people need, their general needs, we want to address those, and hopefully that's the start to the progression towards recovery through addiction, recovery from poverty, recovery from mental health issues, is that initial basic needs that we all have as human beings.
Yeah. Can you tell the people what the communities are?
So over the summer, we focus on the Jasper and Murchison Road area. That was the epicenter for the overdoses that we had in that area. Right now, we're out at Sigmund and Elm. Okay, there's a lot of hotel, motel population that lives in that area, and that's the epicenter over there in Bragg Boulevard. And eventually, before the winter gets here, we want to get out to exit 49 at Cedar Creek Road. There's another hotel, motel population out there where we see a community of people suffering through addiction and overdoses.
Right. Thank you, Johnny, for bringing me to the march. And with him bringing up Narcan, you all please tap in with Johnny. He is a major advocate for Narcan, okay? What are some strategies that you all, the Fayetteville Police Department, implemented to address the events?
Talk about overall strategies for our response to violent crime.
Yes.
Dealing with the things, we see that a lot of our crime, specifically violent crime, they follow trends or cycles. Drugs are always going to be related to whether it's a robbery, or a rip-off, things like that. So those tend to generate a lot of our shooting incidents. We've seen home invasions that were related to, drug dealers being robbed by other drug dealers. Those type of incidents. There's a lot of times that they end in a shooting or some kind of violent crime. I would say typically, we don't have a lot of random shootings within our city. They are associated back with some of the lifestyle choices that individuals make. So, I think that, what we're doing towards, combating addiction and overdose, has a long-lasting effect as it relates to that violent crime. In addition to that, we talked about the Faith in Blue March Against Violence in Massey Hill. Again, there's 3 things I wanted to accomplish during that march. One was bring some awareness to the rest of the community. People drive by Owen Drive. It's a main thoroughfare throughout our city. They drive by that area every day, and they don't even realize what's going on once you get a block off that main roadway, 2 blocks off that main roadway. So that awareness piece of, hey, bring the community to this location. Let them walk with us through this community and see some of the blight, see some of the, the neighborhoods that are, need to be cleaned up, see some of the houses that people are living in. So that awareness piece. Number 2, the people that actually live in those neighborhoods, we want to give them a little bit of hope, to realize it's not just the cops that are coming through here and investigating the crime, but the rest of their community is seeing what's going on, and potentially they're there to help. So that was a big message point that I wanted to take away from that march. And lastly, a warning, that guess what? It's not just the cops out here anymore, it's the rest of our community. They're not going to tolerate all the stuff that's going on, the shootings, the robberies, the rip-offs, the drug dealing, all the things that sort of lend themselves to let that violent crime foster in those areas, that it's not going to be tolerated anymore. So those are the 3 things for there. In addition to that, we've had some officers that we made some schedule adjustments where we have officers that, that are working areas that are prone to violence. We know where our hot areas are for the shootings, the robberies and things of that nature. So it allows them to focus in on those areas instead of, just going to 911 calls, but being able to focus on an area that sort of community policing logic of, okay, I'm going to get to know this area. I want to know the people who live here. I want to know the people that are doing crime here. I'll know when the drug dealer's car is moving. I know that car belongs to the lady who lives at the end of the block. So to help bring back or reinvigorate some of those community policing concepts, I think that was very key for us putting those officers in these specific areas throughout the city. In addition to that, we made some adjustments to the working hours of detectives. We have more aggravated assault detectives on in the evening hours than we have ever before. Our homicide unit, making sure that they're there so there's not a delay in the response. We've all seen the first 48, know how important it is to get out and get a true investigative foundation around any type of incident like that. So making sure we have enough detectives in the right times during the right days of the week to effectively deal with the problems.
Right. And I agree that the officers that are there should become more, how would I say it, more involved with the community. You are doing something that people outside, they don't see, and those people that do come to the hot spots, it's like, okay, are they engaging with the community, or are they're just like patrolling? Do you think that, because I know they have to think of their safety and things of that nature too, but
so I think that's there's two answers to this problem. Number one, we have to have officers who are capable of investigating and dealing with the actual criminal aspect of what's going on within that community. But they also have to be able to sit there and realistically know that, okay, not everybody in here is going to be someone I arrest. How do I turn adversaries into allies? How do I get someone who normally wouldn't talk to the police to be able to feel comfortable enough to talk to me and tell me about, okay, what was the circumstances that led up to that shooting? And again, I can't say this enough. I'm working towards a paradigm shift, not only internally within this department, but externally within our community.
And y'all need to know that there are good cops. These cops are here. The police department is here to assist. When you call, when you need help, they're there. And it's just that I feel like a lot of people they get misconstrued. They get misconstrued. They think that, oh well, if we get the cops involved, someone's going to be arrested, but not thinking, okay, well, like for instance, the Good Samaritan law that has been revised. I know that things happen within the community. You have some people that will speak on it and some people that won't speak on it. But can you let the people know, like for instance, if they do see say somebody is hurt or overdose, or that they can stay there, they can be a part to assist with what's going on instead of being afraid.
So I would say this, and it's tough because there are so many people in our community that have stayed behind closed doors for so long, and we want to make people slowly gain control of their communities back. So if you're not comfortable with staying and talking to us face to face, I say always use the things that we put out on our Facebook page. Whether it's a Crime Stoppers tip, if you want to talk or call in information anonymously. It can be through a text message. It can be through the website. It can be a call. So there's lots of ways to get that information out there so that we have something to work with. One of the most frustrating things that we do as police officers is go and have that true whodunit crime scene. There's nothing there but a victim. And we're very good as a police department as to what we do. I think right now we're carrying about a 98% clearance rate for our homicide unit. But, to have that ability to have that first lead to go off of, even if it's just a Crime Stoppers tip, hey, you're looking for a green Mustang. That is key information for us, and it jumps us so far ahead in the investigation, that it truly helps. And especially if it's a homicide. The only true justice that's going to come from that is identifying the person who killed that individual, and to ensure that we have the cooperation of our community. I think people have heard me say it, it's going to take the entire community because, we rely on that information. We rely on the cooperation of our community to bring justice for those victims. So I think that's the best way to do that, is to get involved, even if the first step is to remain anonymous and use a website or a service such as Crime Stoppers.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Can you provide an overview of the current statistics as far as the crime in Fayetteville?
So, just off the top of my head, I give what's called a quarterly report to council. First quarter is the first 3 months of the year. Second quarter is the next 3 months. At the end of that second quarter report, we were sitting at just under a 10% reduction in violent crime or crimes against persons. Okay, that includes our robberies, our aggravated assaults. That includes, the shootings, the homicides. They were actually down almost 10%. Okay, property crime, we were down close to 14%. It was about 13% across the board. That includes things like larcenies, breaking and enterings, breaking and enter cars, shoplifting. All those crimes where someone takes or steals or damages something are property crimes. So overall, as a general consensus, when we look at crimes against persons or violent crime and crimes against property, they're both categories are down. But we have seen some trends, ever since raise the age. We've seen juvenile crime gradually increase over the past several years. We've seen that those crimes are not just, the typical things that 20 years ago you'd expect a juvenile to do, like shoplifting, or maybe, a B&E. Now we're seeing that we have kids that are involved in shootings, stabbings, homicides, and that causes great concern. So even though that property and persons crimes are both down across the city, seeing that our youth are getting involved in more serious crimes earlier in life, that causes that concern of what future does that child have moving forward from a shooting incident, moving forward from a homicide charge. So, again, good news, crime overall in general is down, but we have seen an increase in our youth and some of the violent crime.
How does the police department collaborate with the community organizations to prevent the crimes?
So, as you see, there was a call for Office of Community Safety here locally in town. How do we work with individuals? Typically, there's a lot of nonprofits and not a lot of people that want to give back, that work with people when it comes to addiction, work with people in the sense of poverty, work with people in mental health. And I think that was what people were seeking here in Fayetteville. And again, I don't think people realize how involved we are in that. As a department, we have a homeless coordinator. We have a homeless officer who, helps enforce some of the legal sides of the house, with the panhandling and ordinances such as that. But we also have an actual civilian that goes out and makes referrals to our homeless populations and say, hey, do you need a ride to the Day Resource Center? Okay, what resources do you need? Here's the telephone number to reach that. We have a mental health coordinator that does the same thing for people who suffer from mental health issues. So we work with people like LEAD. You've seen what we do as far as when we hand out Narcan. You've seen that there are several organizations throughout our city that deal with addiction services. So we work with those people, and we go out to these areas and we make sure that the community knows who these people are as well. So, and I think that's how me and you met just a couple weeks ago. You were part of one of those events where we were out there. We didn't just go march. If someone had any questions, we had people from LEAD, we had people from church groups, any resource that potentially could be offered to the need of that community, we try to make sure are at any of those events.
What initiatives or programs are in place to engage with the community to build trust between the law enforcement and the resident?
So there's again, depending on how you look at it, we do things such as we have a Citizen Police Academy where people who don't know what the police department does or what functions we perform, what capabilities we have. A lot of people when they see when they think about their police department, they think about the police car they see riding up and down the road. A lot of people don't realize that we have a full service, a crime lab here. Not full service, but most of your basic services for crimes. We can process fingerprints. We can process, firearms, how they're used. We look at the collection of data. We can, process video evidence. We have a crime information center where we get all kinds of intelligence in. We do data analytics, so we're more than just the cop that's in the car that goes out there and answers those calls. So how do we want to show people that the professionalism that we have as an agency, we're not just some, police department that all we do is go to calls for service. There's a lot of actual technology, training, there's actually a lot of education that a lot of these jobs that we have in the police department require. So I think if people can see how professional we are in that manner, it'll translate out into the other things that we do. When we look at how do we invite people in, I had an open house at every one of my district stations when I took over as the police chief. We invited people in, come meet the captain, come meet some of the sergeants, the supervisors that work that area, come meet the officers who patrol within your district. We'd like to get back to where we eventually, if we're fully staffed, where we can dedicate officers more to the community-oriented policing aspects that we know are successful. But at least we know we have a district station where, if I live in Montclair, I know that my district station is located over there off Sycamore Dairy Road. So you know where to go if you need to talk to the person that would be responding to your call for service. You can talk to your district captain. So again, I think that builds bridges within our community that people think that they got to call the chief of police all the time. No, there's other people out there that are willing to work with you and help you out with your problems. So a lot of specific things, but those are some of the main things that we do on a day-to-day basis.
Thank you. Are there any specific neighborhoods or areas of Fayetteville that are currently experiencing like higher crimes? I know you said the 3, but are there any more?
So I'll say
losing power. We're losing power.
That's okay. Still gonna push through.
So I think to answer your question about specific areas, Massey Hill, I told you how we came up with the idea of going to Massey Hill to do the march for Faith and Blue Weekend. It's obvious that we had several shooting incidents there. Outside of, Bonnie Doon right now, there's been several incidents over the past 2 weeks that have led us out to Bonnie Doon. More and more out in that Bonnie Doon area off Bragg Boulevard. And I think that directly, I didn't do this on purpose, but we've been off Elm and Sigmund, which is right off Bragg Boulevard, with our Faith in Action program the past several weeks as well. So I think that we have a good idea of where problems are occurring. So we want to make sure that we're putting our community engagement pieces within those areas.
Yes. Now, can you share with us some success stories that you all have been able to follow through with you all being in the community?
I would say, Faith and Blue is probably the greatest success. Not Faith and Blue, the Faith in Action program has probably been my greatest success story, over the past 9 months. When I first became the chief of police, I called a meeting with all of our faith community at one of our recreation centers. I talked to them about the problems that I was having within our community and asked for how they felt that they could help and how they could address some of the issues that I was trying to deal with as it pertained to addiction, homelessness, and food insecurities, all those things. And it has gradually grown to what we have today, where we have people out there just offering all kinds of services on every Thursday. Again, we don't advertise some of these a lot because we want the program to be pure. People are less likely to take part in something if they know that it's going to be advertised, if there's going to be cameras involved. So we try to keep it in this purest sense, the giving nature that it was intended to do. If you look at that, coupled with I think it's something we said about coming in the first 6 months of the year with violent crime down almost 10% and property crimes almost 14%. Again, we know if you look at crime throughout the years, crime goes up and crime goes down. To have the success that the Fayetteville Police Department has over the past decade in reducing crime throughout the city, I think it speaks volumes of itself. But outside of that, you look at our clearance rates. I told you earlier that the 98% clearance rate for our homicide unit, those are things that we're very proud of. And we'd probably be at 100%, if we had a little bit more community involvement. The next goal is to get those numbers down, to truly reduce the homicide numbers. So I think there's work out there left for us to do. I think things like, having the conversation with you today are success stories. I've been meeting with individuals that traditionally the police department hasn't been friendly with over the past years, and we're sitting down and we're helping mend and build some of those relationships out.
Awesome, thank you. Another question that I do have, do you all have like a program where either it's young women coming or wanting to become police officers, or young men wanting to become police officers?
So, let me rephrase your question a little bit, or revamp how I want to answer that. Sounds like you're talking about recruiting.
Yeah.
If you look, go to our Facebook page. We just had a young lady that Izzy that came out here over the last week, celebrated her birthday. She was turning 9 years old. One of her things that she wants to do is become a police officer. So, we took time out of our day to give her a tour of the police department, to let her, see what it was all about. So hopefully she keeps that interest. She keeps that dream of being a police officer one day as she gets older. We have a cadet program where, we take young people in and we let them know about some of the training that police officers go through. They go through as a cadet at age, I think it's 14 or 15 to sign up. If they have an interest in policing or fire, we'll make sure that we get a hold of those kids and try to nurture that interest the best that we can, so that they can keep that dream alive of becoming a police officer or a firefighter. Lastly, you asked about women. The Fayetteville Police Department is participating in the National 30 by 30 initiative. Have 30% of the police force, become women by the year 2030. We had a good head start, as when we started the program, and that was under Chief Hawkins. She gets all the credit for that, bringing that to the table. I think we were sitting at close to 22%. We only had like an 8% go until we achieved the goal that was set of a 30 by 30, 30% female officers by the year 2030. So I think we were a little bit ahead of our time when it came to like that initiative, but yes, we do support initiatives such as that to help drive some of our recruiting efforts.
Awesome, thank you so much. Where can, do you have any advice or words of wisdom for the people in the community?
I would say this, take advantage of some of the programs that we have talked about during the interview today. If giving's in your heart or your nature, come be a volunteer at the Fayetteville Police Department so that you can be part of the programs. You don't even have to do that. Just learn more about the programs we have and ask, how do I get involved? And again, we have so many community partners. If your interest is directly working with the Fayetteville Police Department, go to work with LEAD, and give back that way. Go to work with, any of these nonprofit organizations, the Prove Project, who does some of our violence interrupters for us. Figure out a way to get involved in the community that way to help solve some of the problems. That's the common ground we have, is trying to reduce crime. So again, come take a look at our Citizens Police Academy. If you truly want to learn what the capabilities of your police department are, have some input, make some suggestions, by all means, come. We offer that usually twice a year, and you get an insight that no one else gets, by being able to sit down and talk, not just with the chief of police, but with the men and the women that actually do the work that they're informing you about.
Thank you. And where can we find you? Do you have any social media where we can be updated on the things that you're doing within the community?
So yes, the Fayetteville Police Department, we do have a Facebook page. We post all of our press releases on there. We post our community engagement efforts on there when it applies. Again, there's certain things that we won't post on there because we want people to continue to utilize those programs. But things like the march, things like the feel good stories, come join our Facebook page, follow us there, and you'll see all the things that we're doing on a day-to-day basis, and then a lot of the programs that we're hoping to catch on within our community.
Thank you. One last thing, as I know it's getting cold and we have a lot of homeless people, and we have a lot of people that's unfortunate not to have coats and socks and shoes and things of that nature. Where can the community that wants to be a part, where can they bring that? Because I know you had stated that you all are, contributing that.
So right now, I would say that there's a lot of actual locations throughout the city and some of our major parking lots where they have the gently used clothes. You can turn those in for, but just I'm not gonna recommend anywhere specific, you know, but there are multiple nonprofit organizations and people that are accepting those donations. And if you're one of those nonprofits or people and you want to collaborate with the city, the Fayetteville Police Department to be part of one of our programs, surely reach out to me and we'll make sure that we get you involved.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.